Interviews can be nerve-wracking. It's sometimes really difficult to be in a room with someone and feel obligated to filterlessly answer questions in real time, most often being difficult to answer directly. The 90s had a bunch of these, but there were also a good amount that weren't so easy to watch. Which of these interviews were the most awkward overall? Well, that's why we're here, so you'll have to stay tuned and find out. Hey everyone, welcome to 90s Nostalgia. Today, we'll be counting down the top 10 awkward 90s interviews. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to 90s Nostalgia, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our countdowns regarding everything 90s. That being said, let's get started. Number 10, Embarrassing Night, Sarah Silverman. Going on about a night that you don't want to remember can result in some pretty questionable forms of retelling it. This isn't to say Sarah was awkward at all, but it was more or less apparent that she wasn't really sure how to go about telling the story in a compelling way for Conan's audience. This basically led to some jokes that didn't land or many short pauses between dialogue. Number 9, Second Richest Man, Bill Gates. Being the second richest man and having little to no free time seems like a huge responsibility on its own. This is all harmless though, until you realize how banal the actual interview tends to be, with questions that lead to nothing but short or dry answers, not giving much insight into anything interesting. But hey, he's rich. That's all the interview really cared about in the first place. Number 8, Too Lax? JayZ. This is the last entry that is only scratching the surface of awkward, as the rest will surely be hard to watch. Though here it's still a bit slow and uneventful, as the interviewers have an air to them that doesn't really match JayZ's apathetic energy, which just makes a lot of what they're saying feel forced and out of place. Not much happened, but he definitely doesn't look like he's having fun there. Number 7, I Hate My Job, ABC News. We can all relate to this one, since we've had plenty of instances where we hate doing the same task every day, especially when it's as polarizing as being in a news outlet. Just imagine yourself talking about something serious or tragic, only to end it with moving on to something completely joyful and good morning. So it's easy to see why Disney was so unhappy in his current position.
Now, you always think that you're doing those good morning shows, but this is one of those news shows. I don't want to do this.
Tony.
I'm going to be part of the local news. How exciting.
Number 6, Cornered Guest, Ice Cube. It's a bit unfair when you're being manipulated into saying things you don't mean or answer indirect questions that could be taken in a number of negative ways. The interviewer clearly likes to speak for Ice Cube in some instances. Even throwing questions at him, he isn't really in the mood to answer. On top of that, she gets angry fans to ask him questions rather than uplifting ones.
So it'd be pretty dumb to do everything that your lyrics advocate.
Of course.
Okay. Next caller, Janet from California. Janet?
Number 5, No Response, Anissa Jones. 2 grown men interviewing a 12-year-old actress? What could possibly go wrong with that? Okay, jokes aside, it was hard to watch given the way Anissa just didn't care much for being there. The entire interview ended up being centered around the fact that no one ever wrote back after she sent a letter to the host.
You wrote me a letter, and did you read it?
Yes, I put confidential and everything.
What was in it?
I forgot.
Also, this guy has a weird fascination for her freckles. What's that about?
Thanks.
And I love your freckles. Do you know how many freckles you got?
I don't like them. I hate
You don't like your freckles?
Number 4, Polar Energy, Nicolas Cage. Having an interview between someone so ecstatic with someone so monotone can be a bit jarring. Nicolas Cage is definitely out there in terms of how much energy he gives off, though a lot of what's going on ends up being a bit too one-sided and just not that entertaining. In turn, this means a lot of the jokes being given off don't land at all, so there's just a guy who doesn't really reach the audience of someone that's opposite to him. Number 3, A Bit Too Close, Leonardo DiCaprio. Just about every woman has a thing for Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a given at this point. But sometimes it can be a bit too on the nose, to the point where even Leo himself is uncomfortable. We can see the discomfort in his face whenever the interviewer makes an effort to touch him or throw in unnecessary sexual innuendos.
Is it easy to get chicks now?
Is it easy to get chicks? Actually, Daisy,
Are they all over you? Come on, I'm trying to get into your love life.
How about your love life? Do you have a boyfriend right now, Daisy?
Well, come on, whose show is it anyway?
Well, you know.
It's better to do tough scenes like that where you're like getting your ass kicked, or doing scenes where you're like making out and having sex and getting woody.
Well, I think
Number 2. Unfunny. Carrie Underwood. Imagine going into a Conan show trying to make the audience laugh deliberately, only for it to never land with them at all. Carrie simply doesn't take the hint, as she starts to show off immediately with an awkward introduction, and even tries a bit too hard when it comes to flirting with Conan or anyone that's pretty much next to her in general.
Are you retiring?
Excuse me?
I'm kidding. I love him. No, really, I do. I asked him if
You just won in 6 years most awkward start to an interview.
And I said, you've been on the show like 500 times. Do they have like a cake for you once a year or something? And I'm not funny, huh?
Number 1. Creepishly weird. Bjork. This one is hands down the hardest to sit and watch. Not only is it creepy with the way the interviewer's demeanor is unfit for interviewing, or the fact that he feels the need to flirt with the female lead on camera by asking her about her personal business, but he keeps looking for excuses to get her to say things she really has no interest in saying.
We'll start with the ladies. We have one, and how old do you have a boyfriend? What grade are you in? So you're not going to answer that question, maybe?
Well, to begin with, I don't know what grades are, because we've got different system in my place, right?
Okay.
Add the fact that she can only laugh the awkwardness away, and you can easily tell just how uncomfortable they are, next to how unsettling the whole situation feels. We don't doubt they never showed up for an interview again. We'll admit, those were pretty hard to watch, but what do you think? Did you enjoy our list? What were some other awkward interviews we left out? Share it with us in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to 90s Nostalgia so you can keep up with our wide array of countdowns regarding everything 90s. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.